Welcome back to Grid Drop. Today we're here for MyTeam episode 5, so round 5 in Miami. Personally, Miami is, in my opinion, the worst track on the 2022 calendar, and it also happens to be my least favorite track on the calendar. Usually I try to avoid it in my personal MyTeam saves or career mode saves, but obviously we're doing the full race calendar for this save, so just gonna power through it. I'm not that comfortable driving, so I did some practice laps before recording this. So just so I can get my lines down and everything for Miami. Let's just jump right into it. So we have a new sponsor. We have enough team acclaim to sign a new sponsor now. Obviously that'll bring in some weekly income and some goal bonus money. I'm gonna go for the highest goal bonus, which is UTERP. And that is to out-qualify your rival in the race weekend. So not really too bad of a goal in order to get that goal bonus money. So here's the new livery. This is the final livery I'm going to be running for this season. I might do special ones in the future, but this is going to be the main one. I tweaked it a little bit. Let me know what you guys think. I like how the gloss black and satin black kind of give the livery some depth. So I think it's a little more interesting, and we have a little bit of the red on the front splitter, which is a nice touch. And finally, we are upgrading the pit equipment. The last 4 rounds, we had 3 slow pit stops, which is obviously a big blow to our times. We lost a lot of time to cars ahead and behind with slow pit stops, so finally that's upgraded. Just checking right here, we have a couple parts coming on the car, so we're simulating right now just to see how many resource points we'll get after this, and mostly just because we don't have enough room in these departments to have multiple upgrades at the same time, so we need to get these on in order to put on other upgrades and invest some of these research points. So we have some money. I'm looking at department upgrades. Unfortunately, I think it's not really enough money to invest in anything meaningful right now. I want to save up for the fabrication upgrade for aerodynamics, so we can put on more than one upgrade at a time. So I'll probably be saving up for that for a future episode. As for upgrades, like I said, we just simulated and got some of those upgrades on. They all got on the car successfully, which is good. Now we're looking at the chassis upgrades, and we're going to upgrade tire wear. Powertrain is pretty much full, durability is pretty much full, and aerodynamics, we can't put anything on the car as of right now. So tire wear is definitely a good upgrade to pick. Obviously, the more tire wear upgrades on these kind of base model cars, the faster they progress. I feel a lot quicker when I have the tires drop off a lot slower. So the tire wear upgrade is definitely going to be helpful in the future. So like I said, I did some laps before the practice, before the race weekend, I should say, in MyTeam. I just hopped in a time trial, made sure my setup was right. I was still kind of fiddling with the setup in practice and actually in qualifying too. I was making last minute changes. The car doesn't really feel that great this weekend. This track is not really suited to the Lotus F1 team car. It's not, I don't know what it is. There's just so much. There's so many varying corners on this circuit. So there's a lot of low speed, low grip corners, and there's a lot of high speed corners and not very many medium speed. It's very high speed, low speed. And I don't think this car adapts very well to switching between high speed and low speed very well. One thing I'm struggling with a lot in practice is grip. So you can see my throttle input right here is about 75%. I probably could go flat out if I had more confidence in the setup, but as of right now, I just don't feel completely confident on the throttle. There's a lot of spots in Miami, especially corner exits, that if you put, even 5% too much throttle input, you instantly spin or have major wheel spin, which could lead to a spin. So kind of a tricky track to drive. I think that's usually why I don't like it. That's practice over. Pretty much same old, not really anything too important there. So I'm tweaking the setup right now. I'm putting some more rear wing angle on. This is a very high rear wing. I'm sure it's just at least 5 or 6 clicks over what the AI are running. So that's definitely going to hurt us on the straights. I lowered the tire pressures too on the rears just to try to help maximize corner exits and reduce wheel spin. So we'll see how that works out. So this is our second lap in Q1. First one was a banker lap. Obviously, it was not very good. We're stuck in last place after the banker lap. So even Nicholas Latifi is qualified in front of me currently. So not really a great place to start our second lap in Q1, but we've had a pretty good look. I believe every single round we've made it through to Q2. So you can see I was going pretty wide there on turn 7. I believe it's turn 7. Just not really hitting the apexes. Obviously, it's not a tire issue. These are brand new soft compound tires, so they're heated up too. They're in the operating window. This car just feels like a boat right now. I'm not hitting apexes the way I normally do. I'm driving the same. There's nothing different with my setup or anything, you know, in real life with my wheel or anything like that. So yeah, I'm not really too sure what it is. The car just feels slow. It feels understeery. It just feels kind of bloated, and it's not really responding the way I wanted to. So anyway, I've been kind of rambling on with this, but this is coming into the last corner on our second lap in Q1. So we've had pretty good luck. We've gotten into Q2 every session. We're 7/10 up on our previous time. Not really too sure if that's going to be enough, but we'll see. We're up to the line now, across the line, and we are P21. So not even close to making it through to qualifying 2 there. So that breaks our streak of consecutive Q2 appearances. We'll see where Piastri ended up. I doubt he made it through to Q2, and yeah, so he's P19 and P21 for the race tomorrow. Fortunately, races are not won in qualifying, so we always have tomorrow. But we're going to have to get our heads down and have a good one tomorrow, so let's get into it.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Russell, Perez, Carlos Sainz, and Norris, Leclerc, Fernando Alonso, Ricciardo, and Esteban Ocon, Gasly, Tsunoda, Mick Schumacher, and Bottas, Joe, Magnussen, Alex Albon, and Oscar Piastri, Stroll, Ali, Vettel, they've taken a grid penalty, and Nicholas Latifi. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
So lucky for us, Seb has a grid penalty, so he will be starting behind us, so that puts us P20 on the grid. As for strategy, the team is recommending mediums to hards. I think I'm going to switch it around and go and start on hards and go to mediums. The pit exit has a lot of high-speed S's in Sector 1, and on cold tires, that's going to be a complete nightmare, and I'm definitely going to lose a lot of time. So I'm going to start on the hards, and hopefully the mediums warm up faster on the pit exit, and hopefully I can make up some time that way. So, yeah, P20, starting the formation lap. I'm not really too sure where I'm aiming for this race. It depends how many cars we can get down into turn 1. Usually you can have a pretty late dive into turn 1 and get a lot of places. I doubt points are on the horizon. Miami is really not one of my stronger tracks. We had points last race in Imola. I know the car has the pace for it, but I'm not really feeling too confident with the setup. The car, like I said earlier, feels bloated. It feels slow. It feels understeery and not responsive. So it's definitely going to be a struggle, especially starting on hard compound tires. I'm going to need to warm these tires up as quick as I can in order to make some places up and keep up with the pack on this opening couple laps. But parked in the grid slot now, purple parking job, so that's always helpful. And the lights are coming on. So round 5 of MyTeam in Miami. It's my home race. I'm an American driver. And it's lights out and we are racing in Miami. And it is a terrible, terrible start. A lot of wheel spin off the line. No grip, no traction. Making a deep dive into turn 1 and go up alongside Bottas up the inside, which puts us into P15. So that makes up 7 places off the start into turn 1. So that was definitely needed. Obviously, you can kind of get away with that on the F1 games. Nothing new there. But yeah, so on hard compound tires, a lot of the AI are starting on hards. I wasn't really expecting that. I'm sure they're going hards to mediums. I can't imagine softs will get them through from hards to softs. So unless they're doing a 2-stop onto 2 sets of softs, they're going to be going on to mediums for their 1-stop strategy. Kind of struggling to keep up with Bottas ahead. Obviously, he's on hard tires. I think the AI just have better pace on tires, and we're going around the outside of Bottas after this back straight, and really taking to track limits to avoid any contact there. And it looks like Guan Yu Zhou had a little battle with Bottas too. So both the Alfa Romeos are fighting. No team orders there on the opening lap. And they are actually kind of slowing each other up a little bit. It looks like Guan Yu Zhou could have potentially made contact with Bottas. I wasn't really too sure. I wasn't able to check the replay, but that was definitely kind of a risky move from Guan Yu Zhou. I think he didn't expect Bottas to brake so early. I really didn't either. I had to kind of skirt to the outside to avoid slamming him into the back of him like he did to everyone in Hungary in 2021. Kind of want to avoid those kind of situations, especially on the opening laps. But yeah, again, I mean, this car doesn't feel great this weekend. Hard tires is going to be tough. But luckily, we do have a lot of people in hard tires in front of us, so at least that kind of saves our pace a little bit. It looks like Tsunoda is struggling through this weird little Mickey Mouse section of Sector 2. Very, very interesting part of this racetrack is I find I make up a lot of time on the AI there, and I'm not really too sure why, and I can never get a good exit. So this looks like Mick Schumacher is going for a move on Yuki Tsunoda here into the final corner. And they're battling side by side. Schumacher goes around the outside. You see a little bit of wheel spin there. I'm struggling for grip on the exit of this corner, coming up to the line for the third of 29 times around this track for round 5. So Mick Schumacher gets ahead of Tsunoda, and Guan Yu Zhou goes up the inside of myself. And it's kind of a drag race through these S's of Sector 1, and we're going to squeeze him out onto the curb a little bit. That definitely compromises lines through these S's, and luckily that was enough to squeeze him out. I'm driving really aggressively in Miami. Given that it's not one of my stronger tracks, I need to make up time, and I need to drive aggressive. I need to take chances and take risks. So squeezing anyone out when I can is going to be the first thing I can do, and the first thing I'm going to do. So on to the back end of lap 3 now. Tsunoda and Schumacher kind of pulling away a little bit. I'm not too concerned. Schumacher is on medium compound tires, and Tsunoda can just slipstream off of him. We can see Guan Yu Zhou fly past us. And Bottas is shaping up for a move too. He's flying up the outside, and luckily we're late enough on the brakes to put an end to that move. So in an Alfa Romeo sandwich right now, struggling again for traction on this exit. You can see Guan Yu Zhou just rockets away on the exit of that corner. But it looks like Bottas is going to take advantage of my bad exit. He's going up the inside into turn 1. I squeeze him towards the inside. He locks up, and I do the switchback on Bottas into turn 1. That was a beautiful move. I love making those moves on the AI. You squeeze them to the inside a little bit, you compromise their line, go right back to the outside of the corner, take the racing line, and unfortunately they outbrake themselves when you do that to them. So you can see he was right in the middle of the track there, and he had to brake way earlier than me to make that move work. And luckily, my braking was on point there. So I love making those moves; they're so satisfying. But pretty decent move on Bottas. He definitely took advantage of that weak exit from that final corner. You could see Guan Yu Zhou just take off, and I was kind of left for dead there. And Bottas definitely tried to take advantage of that and get up the inside into turn 1. So that's going to be, unfortunately, one of my biggest points of vulnerability for this weekend, for this race, I should say. That exit from that last corner going onto the straight, onto the main straight into turn 1. I always struggle for traction there, and I get a bad exit. I'm not really too sure why. I'm pacing myself on the throttle. I'm not putting too much throttle in. I'm not doing too little throttle. I'm keeping throttle throughout the corner. I'm trying to carry speed throughout the corner and into the exit, and it just doesn't work. I'm not really too sure what's not clicking. I don't know if it's setup related or it's just my line into the final corner. It shouldn't be. It's a pretty straightforward corner, but yeah, so I think that's going to be a big spot, a big weak point for me this race, where if there's someone close behind, especially in this DRS zone on this back straight, they're going to gain a lot of time on me. Luckily, the brakes are good enough to brake late into that final corner, but they're just going to get a better exit every time. So we're going to see how this goes with Bottas again. He's going up the inside into the final corner. Again, positioning himself right in the middle of the track here. Not really too sure why he's going so deep into the middle of the track. He could definitely get a little bit closer to me. He makes that move stick. He actually was very slow through the corner, but again, just gets such a better exit. I'm not really too sure what exactly I'm doing wrong. So it could just be a skill issue or a setup related thing. Again, I'm not really too confident with the setup. I really feel like I'm driving on skates. I don't know. There's just something not clicking this weekend with this car. In Imola, the car felt amazing. In Australia, the car felt decent. In Jeddah, the car felt amazing. So it's kind of going back and forth. Surprisingly, Miami has a lot of high speed, and I did well in high speed in Jeddah, and Imola has a decent amount of high or medium speed corners too, and Imola was a very strong track, so I'm not really too sure. So I think it is probably setup related. In future seasons, I'll have to tweak that, the setup for Miami. So yeah, just skipping through a couple laps here on lap 10. The gap is really opening up to Bottas. Gap is 5.4 ahead, and Albon is sneaking up behind us. He's slowly been closing the gap over these past 5 laps. Obviously, I skipped ahead, pushing him to the inside, trying to do the same thing we could do to Bottas. And unfortunately, Albon is just better under braking into that last corner. Actually, somewhat of a decent exit this time. I went wide in that last corner, but it looks like we're going to go for a move on Alex Albon here. We're going to go up the inside into turn 1 on lap 13, and we're better on the brakes than Albon this time around, and we make that move stick. We squeeze as much as we can to the outside exit curb into these S's of Sector 1, and it looks like that's job done for now. So hopefully we can keep Albon behind for the coming laps. You can see Piastri is actually fighting at a pretty high level considering his past performances. He's in P16 right now. Usually he's fighting Latifi for P20 or P21. So definitely some improvement from Piastri. I'm not too sure if he just made up places off the start. He started P19 obviously, so that's 3 places for him. And yeah, I'm surprised. So hopefully that pace upgrade we did for Piastri a couple of episodes ago is finally taking effect. You can see Albon challenging around the outside now on this back straight, and he's getting a little feisty. I'm surprised that the Williams are keeping such good pace to my car this weekend. Usually Williams are not even a threat at all, and that's a huge moment out of that weird little Mickey Mouse chicane there. We'll see a replay of it in a second. Yeah, you can see the car is almost sideways, and we actually do scrape the wall a little bit, so hopefully there's no damage there. I believe it was just the back tire that scraped the wall, but that was definitely a scary moment. You can see from Albon's point of view. It looks like Albon is taking advantage of my uncertainty here. Definitely feeling a little skittish after that moment, and he's going for a move around the outside, and we're going to match him on the brakes and just take that inside line, and that should be job done again. But unfortunately, these moves from Albon are coming more and more often, so we're really going to have to try to up the pace to build a gap to Albon. You can see Bottas is now 8 seconds ahead. So unfortunately, it looks like unless there's some type of safety car or some strategy blunder for AI, P14 is probably going to be the maximum for this race. Fighting with Albon is not helping the gap decrease to Bottas, obviously, but that's racing, so what are you going to do? I definitely want to keep ahead of Albon, but like I was saying, I'm surprised the Williams have such good pace this weekend. Usually they're nowhere near me, at least. Usually Piastri fights with Albon or Latifi, but I've found myself in the past races fighting with Kevin Magnussen or Mick Schumacher or Alfa Romeos, potentially McLaren sometimes. Those are kind of the maximum guys I'm racing in the best cars. But the Williams definitely has some pace this weekend. I'm not really too sure if it's just my lack of confidence in the setup or my lack of driving skills around Miami. I'm really not experienced around here, so I don't really have too much going for me, especially when I'm not confident in the car. But yeah, Albon's definitely showing some pace, so we're going to have to keep an eye on him. I kind of skipped over it, but Albon boxed this past lap, so now we have Fernando Alonso behind us. Obviously, he's in a faster car. I'm going to try to fight him if I can. He made a mistake at the very beginning of the race. I'm not too sure if it's included in this like montage I've edited, but he ran wide or spun or something, and he dropped down the last. There was no contact with other cars, and I didn't pull up the replay. But Alonso's challenging up the inside into turn 1 now. That was kind of a last-ditch effort. That looked like a late dive bomb, so not really too hard to squeeze him out right there. Put him on the inside curbs and really slow him down. You can see that created a big gap to him. So I'm driving like an asshole this race. I'm trying to make myself as wide as I can. I don't want anyone to overtake me. I need to drive aggressive. I need to force people onto curbs. I need to squeeze them out. I need to do anything I can to keep even P13 or P14. So unfortunately, I have to drive like an asshole. The AI definitely has better pace this weekend, especially Alonso in that Alpine is a lot quicker. So yeah, unfortunately I'm kind of driving like an asshole. Not my finest driving. Alonso's going around the outside now, and there's a little bit of contact there, and I'm not too sure what exactly happened there. He kind of swerved into me. I'm not too sure if that was technically his corner or not. I had the inside. He was maybe about a front wing ahead of me, and he definitely turned in first. I definitely was a little late on the brakes there, so probably my fault if I do have damage. Obviously there won't be a penalty or anything like that, given that penalties don't really happen in this game. But Alonso is going for the move now on the back straight, and that looks like that's probably going to be job done. I don't think I'm going to have the pace, especially after a bad exit here. I don't think I'm going to have the pace, but he locks up, and we get that place right back. So we're back into P13 now. Huge mistake from Alonso. He's been fighting with us for about 2 or 3 laps now, trying to get this place, and the second he does it is the second he makes a mistake. So boxing this lap, I'm getting pressured from Mick Schumacher behind. I'm not really too concerned if he overtakes me right now. I'm coming into the pits anyway this lap, and he's been kind of hanging back for probably 5 or 6 laps now, trying to waiting for his moment to strike. So he finally got it. He's on hard compound tires as well. I assume he'll probably go into the box in front of me. But again, I don't even think Haas is who we're fighting in this race right now. I'm going to try to catch up with him at some point. But right now we're way too low on ERS. Tires feel like they have fallen off a cliff, and yeah, I just don't think I have the resources or the confidence in the car to fight Mick right now. So yeah, like I said, boxing this lap, green to sector 1 actually, which is surprising. Red to sector 2, and I assume it'll probably be red to sector 3 after going wide there in that last corner. I'm finding that I'm going wide very frequently in Miami. I'm not too sure. Again, I don't mean to keep complaining about the setup, but I'm not really too sure what's going on. I'm not really hitting apexes. I'm going wide. I think it could be a brake pressure issue. I think my brake pressure is lower than normal. It could be about like 96% or something like that, and I'm just not used to the difference. So luckily right there we don't have a slow stop, normal stop, but unfortunately the DRS is broken, which is slightly annoying considering we're second behind Alonso in front on faster tires. So if we have DRS, that would definitely be a big help. And it looks like Kevin Magnussen's flying up the inside for a move through these S's. And luckily, we I guess, have the traction to keep him out right there. I'm not really too sure. I think he went a little too tight and took a little too much curb on that corner there, and it kind of killed his traction and his pace. So luckily, we could muscle out Kevin Magnussen. Got thrown into that battle instantly, straight out of the pits. But unfortunately, like I said, no DRS on this back straight. But doesn't really matter anyway, because that battling with Magnussen cost us DRS anyway. So hopefully we can keep up with Stroll and Alonso. Obviously Stroll is my rival, so I really would like to beat him in this race and get some of that team acclaim. Last race in Imola, we absolutely wiped the floor with Lance Stroll. I believe the rivalry is like 8-3 or something. He qualified ahead, so he gets a point for that. But worst comes to worst, if we're finishing behind Stroll, we can throw on soft compound tires and just get the fastest lap. If it's not for points anyway, might as well try to win the rivalry, get that acclaim up, and hopefully bring in sponsors sooner. So it looks like Sebastian Vettel is our newest challenger. It feels like we've raced everyone today. A little bit of contact with Seb. He goes very, very slowly through the last corner. I guess he's not getting traction just the way I am. He's struggling for grip out of that last corner. And Kevin Magnussen's definitely shaping up for a move on us. We're going to stick to the inside here, leave him to the outside, and we're later on the brakes. Go very, very wide. Don't even come close to hitting that apex. But luckily, Magnussen was squeezed out enough that we kind of blocked him off there. So again, I'm driving like a dick. I don't really see how, with all these people we're battling, that I could keep these places if I'm not driving super aggressively. You can see right there, Magnussen was potentially looking up the inside, and I closed the door instantly and kind of even cut him off. So yeah, I got to drive really aggressive to keep up with these guys in front. Obviously, we're P18 right now. Piastri's P20. Not really a great showing. I'm on medium compound tires. I should be faster than these guys, but you can see DRS is not even doing anything for me. I think the rear wing is too high of an angle in order to try to maximize rear downforce and help with those bad exits. But on the straights, it's killing me. Unless I have at least 30% ERS and DRS active and a slipstream, I'm not catching up to the guys in front, even when I have DRS open. So that rear wing is definitely much too high, but otherwise I think I'd be kind of drifting all around the place on the exit. So we can see here, DRS is open, ERS is active. Obviously the battery is low, but I'm not gaining at all on Seb. and Magnussen is gaining like crazy on me. So we're going to go up the inside of Seb here, try to block off Kevin Magnussen. There's some contact with Vettel, and we're both sliding around in the exit of the last corner, and there's more contact with Vettel. I'm not really too sure what happened there, but Kevin Magnussen is definitely going to be looking to pick up the pieces here. Looks like he's going for a move up the inside. We're going to squeeze him as far to the inside as we can, cut back, see if we can do the same move to Bottas, and we can. He locks up, but he clips our front right end plate by locking up and going straight on into turn 1. So kind of a win-lose there. We successfully did the switchback on Magnussen, but unfortunately I turned in a little too early, and he just clipped our front wing. So hopefully no damage there. That was a crazy sequence of events. Definitely my fault on the contact with Vettel. I was a little desperate on the brakes to keep Magnussen behind and kind of block him off. I'm not really too sure what happened with the second contact, though. Vettel kind of swerved around and went right back into me. He had pretty much the whole racetrack. So yeah, definitely my fault in that first initial contact. Not too sure what he was doing. You can see there's a little bit of front wing damage actually on the right side, and Vettel's going to get us back, rightfully so. Kind of karma for me slamming into the side of him one lap ago. So lap 19 out of 29 now, and it really feels like I have been racing every single person on the grid, besides people in points positions. It feels like everyone below like P12 I've been side by side with at one point, and I just can't seem to make these moves stick. Eventually they just get me on the straight. So unfortunately not enough straight line speed, maybe not enough drag reduction. I'll have to look at that for upgrades on this car. But yeah, as of right now, this is not feeling too nice, getting overtaken pretty much on every straight and having to fight my way back up or be extremely aggressive to kind of cut people off and close the door. So yeah, not really the best showing right now. So lap 20 of 29, obviously 9 laps left to go. P18 right now is unfortunately looking like maybe the most we can do. We kind of got undercut by Mick Schumacher and Fernando Alonso as I go way wide. Oh man, really feeling the pressure here, and it's making me make a lot of mistakes. Some of it I think is car related, and some is definitely I'm feeling the pressure. There's a lot of people behind me, it seems, at all times. So yeah, unfortunately just getting forced into a lot of mistakes here. Miami is really not my favorite place to race, but yeah, so we definitely got undercut by Fernando Alonso, Mick Schumacher, and I'm not too sure, I believe someone else. I mean, I was fighting in P14, P15 behind Bottas and Guan Yu Zhou. The gap was opening up to them. Albon, I was fighting with him as well, and it seems like all these guys have just slipped away as soon as I came out of the pits. So obviously we didn't have a slow stop or anything. It was a normal stop. I just don't have the pace. In those 2 laps I was out on track, or those 2 laps that I was in the pits, people were making time on me. So unfortunately, just not enough pace today. Kind of a disappointing show out today. Magnussen's still putting the pressure on behind. He's 5/10 back, just consistently staying there. Vettel is pulling away in the Aston Martin, which is a terrible sign, considering that the Aston Martin is either equal to or below us in the performance index. So we should have more pace. That was a huge mistake coming out of the exit of turn 7. Our front wing is shattered, and we are now into last place. The safety car has been deployed. Oh man, this just cannot get any worse, can it? Safety car is deployed. Here's a slow-mo replay of the wing absolutely shattering. A little too much throttle on the exit there. I think the rears were overheating a little bit. Obviously, that leads to less grip, and they just spun up a little quicker than I thought they would. And unfortunately, I put myself in the wall. I tried to save the spin. I tried to slam on the brakes and kind of lock the steering all the way to the right, but it was just too late. We were too close to the wall. I did find in practice that exit was a little bit slippery for me. In the race, I didn't have any issues, or in qualifying, I didn't have any issues. I was just very careful on the throttle. But I guess I just lost focus there for a second, and that second was all I needed to shatter my front wing and ruin my race. So luckily, safety car, so we're going to box for softs, brand new front wing. And that should put us at the back of the field where we can potentially make up some places. This could be somewhat of a blessing in disguise. These guys are going to be on hard compound tires, and we're going to be on brand new softs with about 8 or 7 laps to go after the safety car ends. So I don't know. We can definitely fight back up into P14, especially if we get a good restart, and we can get maybe 3 or 4 cars off the front.
seems to have been a problem attaching the front
and
wing.
we have a
We need to
slow
try and
pit
put
stop.
that behind us
Luckily
now
that
and
doesn't
finish the race strong.
really affect us too much, but that is getting quite annoying that happens pretty much every race. Luckily we just did that upgrade, so hopefully that comes on soon. But yeah, so this could technically be kind of a blessing in disguise. I mean, we're going to have faster tires, brand new front wing, obviously. Everyone's going to be backed up. They're going to be on old hard compound tires or very old medium compound tires, and there's 7 laps left. So not all is lost in this race. There's definitely potential for to bring something back. Points are going to be an uphill battle for sure, but 7 laps on softs. It's not impossible. It's not impossible. Given the way I'm driving, it's unlikely, but it's not impossible. Anyway, just catching up to the field right now. Just kind of trying to save the tires as much as I can while still pushing to get there quickly. We're still 30 seconds, 40 seconds behind Latifi, who's in last, so definitely need to push. The safety car loses a lot of time through the slow speed corners, obviously. And through high speed compared to an F1 car, kind of, yeah, no duh. But not really gaining as much time as I need to. We're still 40 seconds away from Latifi. I don't understand how. And a safety car is in this lap. So it looks like that is race over. That's never happened to me before on the F1 game, where I'm 40 seconds behind the safety car and it just decides to go in. So we're back to green flag running now. I'm 35 seconds behind Nicholas Latifi, who is the next closest competitor. And we have 7 laps to even make up a 35-second deficit. So that's pretty much race over. I'm not too sure why that happened. If I had one more lap, I probably could have caught up. Kind of a disappointing end. I thought there was definitely potential to get somewhat closer to the points. I mean, like I said, points were probably not on the table today, but at least there could have been some exciting racing ahead. So that is kind of a disappointment that the safety car unfortunately did not let me catch back up. You can see we're making up time to Latifi. Obviously we're on softs, but by the time we get to him, these softs are going to be dead. I mean, I'm pushing hard just to catch up to Latifi now, and yeah, these are going to be off a cliff because I didn't think I'd have to go flat out, you know, as soon as we got green flag running just to catch up with the guys ahead. I thought at least if I'd be going flat out, it'd be to be overtaking cars ahead, not catching up from 20 seconds behind. So yeah, you can see we're definitely making up time, but yeah, unfortunately that kind of seems like race over. That's definitely a disappointing end to a pretty terrible race, if I'm going to be honest. So this one is not one to ever look back on, not really one to be proud of. DRS is back enabled, so these guys are going to be DRS training away from me. Yeah, this is the worst weekend we've had so far this season. Last place, and we're just going to retire the car at this point. I know there's only about 4 laps remaining, but we might as well save the engine components, even if we can reduce it by like 2 or 3% wear on the gearbox or the turbocharger or anything like that. It's worth it in the long run. So yeah, no points today, obviously. Pretty terrible race. Just felt like I was getting swallowed up by everyone the whole race. There was really no answer I had to the AI constantly attacking me into every corner. So yeah, here are the results. Not really great. So we didn't get last technically because Hamilton had a rare Mercedes DNF, which is pretty interesting. But Piastri finished P18. So yeah, not really one to write home about. So if you're watching this for the first time, definitely check out the other videos. I swear I'm not like really bad at this game. You'll be able to see in the other videos that I'm definitely better than this performance today. So if you're watching this for the first time, don't judge me on this. Even if you'd make it to the end of this video with my commentary being so terrible. But looking at the standings here, so looking at race results too, I'm really interested to see Piastri's total race results. So you can see here my first DNF after points last weekend. And Piastri is consistently in P18 or P19, and Nicholas Latifi is having a stinker of a season. P20 every single race so far. That is absolutely terrible. They should definitely be looking into a replacement for him. So, powertrain event. We can either invest high, medium, or low amount of money into current tech methods, apparently, for the powertrain department. High cost is only $50,000, which really doesn't make a dent at all. So we're going to be going with the high cost. I believe that'll improve the powertrain team morale. So that's at least something good to take from this weekend. So yeah, unfortunately, kind of a shitty one this weekend. Miami is not my strongest track. Luckily, Spain is pretty good for me. So next weekend, definitely have some things to look forward to. There's going to be some good upgrades coming on the car. Hopefully, the pit improvements will make it on to the pit crew as well, and we will be avoiding the slow stops more frequently. So, yeah, definitely exciting stuff ahead. Unfortunately, that was just one of those races. But yeah, if you made it this far, thank you for watching. Thank you for clicking as well. I know my commentary is pretty brutal, but yeah, I will see you in the next round for Spain.